If you're halfway through your PhD and you feel that nothing is done, that your research is going nowhere, then you have these half-written drafts, but they are not actually saying anything, that you are somehow lost in what are the next steps that you should take, this video is for you. So today I want to talk about this very, very common feeling that I have experienced as a PhD student myself several years ago, and both as a coach for PhD students, where I see that people have this feeling that their work is never completed, their work is never quite done, and their work isn't enough. Good enough to publish, good enough for the supervisor, good enough by their own criteria, and so on. So this is something that happens. I would say that the root cause of that feeling is the nature of research itself, because research per se is never done. Like, you can always ask one more question, and this is what typically happens with research. It expands very, very fast because you answer one question and then 5 more pop up, and then you chase one and then 5 more pop up. So at some point you are left with all of those loose threads, I would say, that you don't know exactly in which direction all of those results are pointing, if it's going to make sense, if it's not going to make sense. So you try to put it together, but you're actually not achieving it, and so on. And as I said, that's actually the nature of research. What doesn't work in those cases is to beat yourself up, to enter the loop of the procrastination, which is basically feeling guilty for not working, but not working, procrastinate, and then feeling exhausted because when you are resting, you cannot rest because you're thinking about work, and so on. So this is definitely something that doesn't work. And also what I found out doesn't work is putting in more hours, because sometimes we have this, I would say, wrong approach of saying, okay, if I just work more, then things are going to move faster. However, in research, it doesn't work exactly like that. First of all, chances are that you are already working a lot. Chances are that you are spending many, many hours in the lab, working a lot, and already putting in a lot of thought in your research. So actually, the success isn't proportional to how much you think of it. Rather, from my experience and from the experience of my clients, it's proportional to how good you are at putting pieces together. And in order to make sure that you can put the pieces together, it's very important to have this ability to zoom out and to really say, okay, objectively take a look at your research and say, okay, what are the things that I already did? What are the things that I already have? And how I can put them together into something that makes sense and that is going to sort of be the backbone of my research story that is then going to go in my thesis or in my research paper. So those are some strategies that I always apply with my clients when they are lost and when they're feeling like, I don't know what my research is even saying. We always do that. So we always go back and take a look at all of the things that they did and crafting a story and crafting a narrative, a research narrative already from that point. And then it's much easier to figure out what are the next steps to take, what are the things that are missing, and what are the things that you should be doing in order to move a little bit closer to finishing the thesis or publishing that paper. So if you are in that situation right now, if you feel that you are in that stage of your PhD in which nothing makes sense, everything is half done, half written, you don't know how to put it together and simply build a story around all of the things that you already did and finally put them into your thesis, what goes where? Something that a client of mine told me, it's like, how do I know what goes where in the thesis? If this is where you're at right now, I want to invite you to schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me. I will leave a link down below where you can schedule the appointment. And in that coaching call, we discuss exactly where you're at with your research, what are your current struggles, your current challenges, what are those things that are sort of being really hard for you right now in your PhD process, in your PhD journey. And of course, we establish some clear tangible next steps that you can take in order to move a little bit closer towards the finish line, whether on your own or with my help and support. So I hope that you found this video useful, and as always, see you in the next few days with another video. Bye bye.